Hey, everybody. Sean O'Connor here with Macabre Daily's Paper Cuts. I have none other than Anna Dupree with us from Anna Rose Reads. Honestly, Neil McRobert, if you're listening right now, I hope you feel the sweat trickling down your back because Anna Rose Reads is encroaching on your territory and surpassing you. And honestly, I know Neil and I know you know Neil, and he would say right now, fair play, good on you, or something like
Oh
that.
yeah.
Something European. Who can understand him? Yeah.
No, very true. And he keeps telling me things like this, and I'm like, I don't think that you know who you're talking to. I'm just like a 27-year-old teenage girl, Neil, but whatever you say.
It's look, we're going to get into it because I completely agree with Neil. And forgive me, it Neil and Nat and your no, it was actually a whole panel. Rob
Oh
Olson,
yeah, for Stoker.
yourself, Neil, and I know I'm forgetting one person, and
Yeah,
this is gonna
Trevor, I think was
Trevor.
on there as well from Slay House. And then I think William Sterling was the moderator for that. So he
Yes.
was on as well. Yeah.
Incredible episode. And they were right though. They were right. It's it's a couple of things. It's your preparation, it's your demeanor, it's the way that you put your guests at ease, and it's that you can't teach this. It's just either you have it or you don't, and you have it. It's just the way that you just have the cadence to the conversation and the flow of it. And I get to the end of an episode and I'm like, I'm quitting. I'm I'm just gonna quit right now.
Very, very kind of you. But no, I look, if I can accredit any of that, it is very much to I grew up in South Louisiana, and like Cajun people, you can't go anywhere without like having a full-blown conversation. So like social skills are a must, conversation skills are a must. And I think I've just managed to like translate a little bit of intellect with like the ability to talk to anybody and everybody anywhere anytime because that's pretty much how I was raised. So
You just encapsulated every New Yorker's worst nightmare.
yeah, no, so that's so true. Oh my
We're like,
God.
just don't make eye contact. Don't make eye contact. But you know what? I mean, look, it's a testament to how great the episodes are. How long have you been doing this?
Okay, so I mean, I've always been a reader, don't get me wrong. I think it was the fall of 2022 was like when I really got into contemporary horror. Like I picked up Rachel Harrison's Such Sharp Teeth, and I was like blown away. I was like, oh, I didn't realize like horror was doing this, because I had read King a good bit and like a little bit more of the older stuff, and then I kind of got brought up to speed with like Grady Hendrix and everybody else, and then I started reading Clay and Nat, and I just got really into it, and the opportunity came about for me to start reviewing. So I started reviewing books, I believe in like the late summer, early fall of 23.
Okay.
And then the interviewing didn't come until like summer of 24. And because it just kind of got to the point where I was like listening to Talking Scared and like, and everybody else, Trevor with Slay House. And I was like, man, these questions are like really, intellectually stimulating for me. And I have more questions I really want to ask them. And, like obviously, like you can't ask those one way street on a podcast. So
Yeah.
I was like, maybe I can look into this. And, like sometimes whenever you get the marketing package from the publishers for the advanced copies when I was reviewing, they would say like the author's open for interview requests, like just get in touch with us or whatever. So I kind of just started doing that, and then I kept asking people and they kept saying yes. And it started out on YouTube, and then the beginning of this year I was like getting my shit together. I was like, okay, we're gonna make this real now. We're gonna make this more accessible. So in earnest on a schedule, I would say like this year has been the most like consistent on a schedule, putting this out episodes at least once a week since like the spring. But before that, it was more of like just kind of figuring it out, trying to figure out the method and the means and everything else in between to just make it happen.
Process. It really is a process. You get a couple of months down the road, you look back at it and you're like, you know what? Yeah, that's working, but none of this is working. And you
Yeah.
tweak it. Here's the highest compliment I'm going to pay you. You didn't have the tweak period from Jump Street. Your episodes were just so good. and they just keep getting better. I really do feel like I'm talking to you before you launch Anna Dupree Enterprises. You know, that's the
Look,
exciting part of it.
I mean, if it happens, it happens. But no, I really like I don't mean to, be kind of like cheeky. Like this is very sincere when I say this, but like having the model of like Stephanie with books in the freezer and like seeing how she did her stuff, and then like also Agatha with She Wore Black, Neil
Yep.
obviously with Talking Scared, Trevor. Like I had, there are so many people out there who are doing this with their own niche and spin on it, and they're all doing it incredibly well. So like I knew okay, I want to sound this way. I want to sound as professional as these folks do. Like, how can I make that happen? So it took a little minute to kind of, figure out how to get there. But in terms of what I wanted to bring to the table, I think sometimes I'm still kind of wrestling with that because sometimes I feel like, we all, and we were talking about this today on social media, like me and Trevor have an episode coming out tomorrow with the same author on the same book. And, you know, I get that,
Is it
we all
Michael
get this.
Lehunt?
Yes.
I'm interviewing him tomorrow night.
There we go. Well, we have the trifecta. And I know we just talked to Neil too. So we have these moments of like really intense, fascination with a book or an author. Like we just have these moments in horror. And I mean, you can't, the community is only so big. But what's really cool is I don't think that any of us have ever really delivered quite the same interview
I
or asking the same questions. Like I do think that we're able to approach it all from a little bit of a different, place. And so I think the poor authors is all I can think though. I mean, they're just getting attacked from a million different directions by us. But no, I'm really just thankful that I've had them as a reference point. Also, all of their support, and then even now being like, "Oh my God, I'm so glad that we both are talking to this person. I can't wait to see what you have to say." And I'm like equally as excited to see what everybody else is saying as well.
when I found out that most authors, the the hard yards of promoting really fall almost 100%
Yeah.
on them. I started this almost the same time as you. I had a podcast prior, and we were trying to get directors and actors, and it was more film based. And then, I am a former English teacher, so I approached my partner and I said, would you be interested in maybe talking to some authors? And she was like, yeah, that sounds interesting. And almost immediately, like trying to get directors and actors, they're wonderful people, but that is like trying to land a marlin. I mean, it just
Yeah.
takes forever, and most of the times it doesn't work out. Almost immediately, the authors, and I wonder if you had this experience as well, were like, yes, please, and thank you.
Yeah.
What time do I show up? And I was kind of like taken aback. I was on my heels because I was like, wait, really? Is this really? And one after the next, and they told me time after time, they're like, no, you don't understand. If we're not getting the word out about our book, the word does not get out. And at that point, it was like a light bulb went off, and I just said, I certainly won't ask you anything personal, but I don't make a dime on this. But I
Oh
feel
yeah.
compelled to put a spotlight in the sky saying, this is a good book. Read this
Yeah.
book. If you're into horror, or if you're just into good literature in general, this is worth your time. And yeah, I mean, it still compels me to this day. I don't know how this podcast became about me, but
No, no, no. I mean, I relate a lot. I mean, I think the thing for me, like it was kind of breaking the stigma, having enough authors to be like, no, we don't like more. And also, there's two things that I think it partially is one, we're in the middle of this like media crisis of like nobody knowing what the hell they're doing with marketing or like how to market anymore
yes.
because of the like constantly shifting technology, demographics. Like I empathize with the marketing community. I do because like I don't know how you keep up with this, but at the same time, I feel like whenever we are marketing, some of our business, like the publishers from the business side, I think that we're really missing the mark. I think there's a lot of avenues that these publishers could be hitting on or, exploiting a little bit
Completely
further.
agree. Yep.
Yeah, than what they are. But I think that part of the problem is we're in this weird shift. I mean, like even within the last year, look at the mass exodus from, now X used to be Twitter. That used to be where you posted everything and you got a hold of everybody that way. And now we're
One-stop shopping.
across,
Sure.
yeah, we don't have that anymore. And so even within the last year, I mean, we're still, trying to figure out like how to get our stuff to reach people. And then like all I could think about was, how long it takes to write a book. especially within, like traditional publishing, and even indie. I mean, depending on how it goes, all I could think was like, God, I can't imagine pouring all of myself into this for years and like it just falling on deaf ears,
Right?
especially like for women. Like for women, I just like I really am trying to do the best that I can to like find those stories and elevate them the way that I hope that I'm doing justice by them. But, I think that it took enough word of mouth recommendations for books that I absolutely have adored that I've been like, nobody else is gonna know unless somebody's talking about it. So we need to keep talking about it. We need to do whatever.
Well, I mean, I'll be candid. You're part of this super group of women who are elevating female horror literature authors. Mother Horror, Sadie Hartman and Emily Hughes, and you said it yourself. She Wore Black and Books in the Freezer, and yourself. There's and I get it that it's a small community, but I feel like it's growing exponentially.
Oh yeah.
And I hope you feel that, that the boys are kicking in as well.
Oh yeah.
And we try, we certainly try. But yeah, there's enough out there to amplify the voices, but never enough. Just
Yeah.
never enough. So that's why, you know, when I approached Matarosco and I said, look, I would really like to do this spotlight series through October. We've got 4 weeks in October, and I want to spotlight a person who is amplifying the voice of horror literature. And the first person I thought of was you. You are doing the hard yards, but you're making it look so effortless, which annoys me, Anna. It annoys me in no way. No, but I applaud you for it. Let's get into some of the mechanics, if you
Yeah.
don't mind. What's your prep look like?
Yeah. I'll be honest, I don't think that it ever really looks the same for every book. But for the most part, like I try there's some authors that I feel very comfortable reaching out to them like far ahead of time, being like, hey, I know you have this coming out, this is on the radar, like can we get something on the calendar? We'll get the e-arc or whatever, and I'll read. And then typically whenever I read, I try and take notes, but sometimes that just doesn't that just that it falls apart.
Yeah.
So I do outline before I do an interview, but I always leave it up to the author whether or not they want to see it beforehand.
Oh, okay.
It's just something for me to like get my thoughts straight. Just to and half the time I don't even stick to it. I'll be honest. We end up going, in other places, but just for me to have some touchstones to like know to fall back on if like, the conversation's like really sticking to a deep dive. Like I want to have those plot points to hit.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. And sometimes if it's a new author, I'm very fortunate that the publishers have been really great and kind to me. NetGalley is a beautiful thing and a, kind of a blessing and a curse because you can't stop requesting books on it. But we get them early enough that we can, I can read them. And if it's something that I'm like, God, I'm dying to know more about this, I'll, reach out either to the publisher or, honestly, sometimes I reach out just to the authors on social media if I've like had interactions with them before, I'm just like, hey, like we've,
I find
discussed
that's
it.
the most direct way, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And I find that it just kind of, I think it almost helps to build the rapport a little bit too that way. And that's just like an interpersonal thing that I have found, obviously there's no rule book on the professionalism of this. I think, like always just being respectful, obviously, and professional goes a long way. But whenever you go through the publisher, sometimes get, you don't get answers quick enough. And then like slots fill up for scheduling or, things move on. And then like, you'll sometimes like, I'll never forget, I reach out to a publisher. I'm like, hey, are you interested in this interview? And they said, yes. What's, like, tell us a little bit more about you. I send it. I don't hear back from them. The book comes out. And then I see the author a week later, like asking for more traction for the book to be promoted. And I'm like, and it's one of those things that like, I wish that I would have reached out to you maybe instead. I don't know if
Yeah.
there's a right way or a wrong way to do this. We're figuring it all out as we go. But, I know for me, I paint every now and then. So like I paint and I like, man, if I put all this time into this painting, and sometimes it's only just like a few days and then like it goes absolutely nowhere. That's rough, right? And so I can't imagine for the book to have written for all these months, these revisions, these edits, these, all this, and then like it just kind of goes out with a whimper. It's just like so frustrating, I think, as an artist. Like I think anybody who has a creative bone in their body can sympathize with that. So
I feel the pain. And I think that's where I'm like, all right, I don't know what I can do, but I'm going to tell every single person I
Yeah.
know about this book, and I'm going to put it on socials, and I'm going to write an article about it. And I'm just going to try, because at least at that point, I'm like, all right, I did everything that I could. And I know you're doing the same. And you hope that it lands. You hope it
Yeah.
finds an audience. Look, we are in a period right now. This pains me so much to say. I am decades older than you. I mean, I'm looking at you, and the youth radiating off the screen is so obnoxious. But my point being that I grew up during the 80s. I mean,
Mm.
I was a teen during the 80s, and that was this incredible horror paperback and
Yeah.
you know, hardcover boom. But it was all white men, white middle-aged men. There were not there were no, there was no diversity. There was very little diversity. I shouldn't say no, but there was very little diversity. You know, there was really just one voice. There's great literature that was produced during that time period. And, you know, I mean, it's like canon now, and we always reference it. But now we're having that same moment. It's been going on for years now. And I keep, you know, I'm cautiously optimistic that it will continue. Nothing lasts forever, you know. I mean, you know, stay gold, pony boy. It's just eventually it's going to end. But right now, it almost feels like the cauldron is bubbling, and it's so exciting. But the excitement is because we have all these diverse voices. No matter
Yeah.
who you are, what you believe in, how you identify, there's something for you out there, which I think is so exciting. And you do a great job of making sure that those voices are heard, which, on behalf of readers, thank you. I think that's great. Was that purposeful, or was it just organic?
I mean, but honestly, it's probably a little bit of both. But I mean, like, I know the feeling that I had, like, quite frankly, when I read Such Sharp Teeth, and like, so many of those that main character's beats, like at that point in my life, I was like, it felt like my life had been ripped off of, my life and put on a page, and I was like, shit, like that's wild, you know. And so then you have that experience that like, oh, this happened for me. Like, God, this could happen for anybody. What are we doing to make sure that that happens, right? And I really have a lot of respect for Stephen King. I love him. I love what he's done for the genre. Like, we would not be here without all of his stuff. And like, I'm still making my way through his work. Like, I've not read all that much King, but I know for me, part of me always walked away with a great reverence for the work, but I just didn't see myself in it. So it was like, it was a little bit of a disconnect. But then whenever you start to see yourself in a book, there's really no feeling like it. And like it happened again with like American Rapture and CJ Lead, and then Liz Karen with her books. I mean, like those three women have somehow gotten into my head and like yanked out like pivotal life experiences and written about them. Um, and I know if I know it's happening for me, I know it's happening for other people. And I'm like, we gotta find a way to let people know about it, because I think I found out about a lot of those books like on Twitter. Like, people were talking about them. It wasn't a Nightfire's sponsored ad that came across my Instagram feed, or Berkeley didn't reach out to me. It was people talking about it, and then
Social media. Yeah.
yeah, and I saw people like Emily Hughes, like, being the advocate to, like she does her newsletter where she's listing every single release in the month for that month, and you can quite literally like go through and scroll through that and be like, okay, this one's for me, this one I'm interested in, but maybe, you can pick out and tailor your reading from that. Like, that's invaluable. That's a resource, like
It's
you can't put a price tag on that. And
it's
so
the
I just
Rosetta
saw.
Stone of horror
Yeah.
literature. It really is.
Exactly. And I was a big thriller and like crime reader before, and I really didn't know my way around the horror genre when I got into, like, having that frame of reference was so important, and I'm like, we need more of that. Like, there needs to be so much of that, because there's every different kind of reader out here probably looking to find the same experience that I had. So if we can multiply that and get that out for everybody else, that would be great. And also, just like, the work is too damn good to not talk about it. Like, it's too, I don't, there's no words for it, honestly. It's just, it feels like like you said, a monumental moment right now that like it deserves to have a moment and that we talk about it and we celebrate it. I mean, God knows we got enough atrocious shit going on elsewhere, you know, like
Oh,
we
don't.
need to celebrate the
You're
art
going to
that
turn
is,
this into a different podcast if we go down that lane. Oh
but
boy.
I know, but we need to celebrate the art that is helping us through it more than anything. And I think that's how we're gonna get through it. So, whatever part I can play in that, I'm gonna do it, you know?
Well, to to that point, I just want to say that when we go through these times, these abhorrent times, typically, the literature that we get, the films that we get, they reflect what's going on and they
Right.
help us process it through something that we enjoy. So, I'm so thankful for the authors that are doing that so that I can get rid of some of the bile in a healthy way because it's never ending. Never
Yeah,
ending.
we need the catharsis.
But and it will end one day. It will. No matter how dark it gets, I can always see that glimmer of light at the end of the tunnel. So it'll get better one day. And the horror community, typically, almost to a fault, really demonstrates those kind of beliefs and ideals and enthusiasm and positivity.
Oh yeah. It's
So
the most ironic thing.
it
It's the
is.
most ironic thing. The people who are willing to look in the mirror at the ugliest thing for a really, really, really long time are the ones who are, the quickest to point out the hope in it all too. So
As they're mercilessly killing scads of people. They are making us feel better about our dark times. But it's so true. It is so true. All right, let's get into the weeds a little bit. And I promise I won't, there are no gotcha questions. Have fun with it. But if I ask anything and you're just like, I'd rather not, we'll just pass. I'm so curious. Has there ever been a time? And I will let me preface this. I know that every single guest that you've had on, much like myself and Neil and Stephanie and everybody, we're so appreciative of their time and we're so appreciative of their work. Even if it didn't connect with us, we can always recognize the hard effort that went into it. So even though I'm going to ask a question now, it's going to sound like a gotcha, but we do appreciate these authors. Has there ever been an author that threw you for a loop? Like you had to pivot. You expected one thing, but you had to pivot. And you don't need to name names if you don't want to, but was there ever a time where you were like, oh boy, this just got real?
oh, like in a sense. So I tend to read kind of closely at some things, and I'm always thinking like the big picture, like what does this symbolize, and like what do you know? And there have been a few authors that I'm like in the middle of like asking this like deeply philosophical question. They're like, nah, I just really like whatever, and you're like, oh,
I
okay,
like
like, and that's
chainsaws. Yeah.
that's a great answer. I love that, and I want to celebrate that just as much as I do want to celebrate the philosophical answer. But it's just funny sometimes. And then like even after the fact, I'll like follow up or we'll talk after we're done recording, and then they'll be like, yeah, like I hadn't even like really considered, whatever, but like I see like not that your point was wrong, but like I see where you're coming from on that. And I think it's so funny because like sometimes there's things that I do sometimes that like even like my friends or family will be like, you did whatever. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I think it's in our human nature to
Yeah.
do what we do and not perceive, so closely the way that everybody else does sometimes. But yeah, there have just been a few moments that have been like really like deep in the weeds on something, and sometimes it's just for fun. And like that's the really cool thing about horror is you can have both. You can read really closely or just be entertained. So those are the only moments that I'm like, oh, I need to change the direction of where we're taking this because I can't keep going down the symbolism rabbit hole if
Yeah.
we're, we're headed in a different direction. But no, I think that's the only like big quote unquote like pivot that I've had to make.
I've done the same thing where I'm like, okay, so what was the hatchet a metaphor for? They're like, nothing. It was to kill the grandmother. And I'm like, yes. Okay. I get it now.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
they're such nice people though, and they're having, I've never had a conversation that wasn't fun. I honestly have never gone to the dentist with one of these where it's over and you're like, oh, ay Dios mío, what happened?
Right.
They're lovely people who, again, love to murder people on the page. It is so ironic that they're the loveliest people out there.
Oh, 100%.
All right. This one I'm not going to allow you to cheat on. You have to answer this. You really don't, but you I know everyone who comes on is your favorite. We all love our children. All our children are our favorite. Anna, don't you lie to me. Who was your favorite interview?
There, okay, this is it's not cheating, but there's like different contexts to being your
That's
favorite,
fine.
right?
That's fine.
So,
The judge will allow it.
like the bit like I got to interview Stephen Graham Jones this year, which was like a really big highlight because he's just I think one of the coolest people that I would like love to just sit down and like talk at a bar with for like a
Thank you.
very long time. And his creativity like knows no bounds. I just think that he's a brilliant human being, and so being able to do that was like really cool. And in terms of being able to ask the burning questions that I've had for a while about some of this stuff was really cool. In terms of like what I the interview that I feel like that I've done has been most important. I just had an interview this week with Eleanor Johnson, who wrote Scream with Me, which is a nonfiction book about the rise of feminism in the late 60s, early 70s with horror films. And that I think the conversation I had with her, I haven't listened back to it yet, but like I walked out of that interview feeling like, whew, this is what I came here to do. Like it was heavy and it was rough, but like this is what I want to be doing. And the same thing happened with Amakatsu's interview. Like that was another one that I felt like we really got into it. But in terms of like the fun that I've had, anytime that I talk to these five individuals, Rachel, CJ, Liz, Karen, Nat, Cassidy, and Clay McLeod Chapman. I mean, it's all, oh, and Brian McCauley too. You just walk in and you walk out like feeling like, a better person. I don't know. There's something about them and the way that they approach their art is just so, they're so passionate about it and endearing about it. Like you can't help but feel really special about being able to converse with them about their work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know again that's not a straightforward answer, but those are
Oh,
those are the
it's
picks.
it's a perfect answer. It honestly is. Clay was my first interview.
Yeah.
Clay will always have this. I love him dearly because how do you not love Clay?
Yeah.
But he was so, you know, he knew I still had my training wheels on. He knew I didn't know what the hell I was doing. P.S. I still don't, Hannah. But I've learned to fake it a little better. But he was so kind and just willing to let me kind of just go over the rough spots and find my rhythm. And I mean, I've talked to him now, at least a half dozen times, and he's local. I'm on Long Island, and he's in
Yeah.
Portland. So we see each other. I go to his events, and we see each other at events because he goes to everything. He's like one of those supporters of other people's, and I shouldn't look. Clay is phenomenal because he's like the strength of 12 people and
I
the
know.
stamina
You
of
don't pick you pick
group.
up a horror book and he's got a blurb on it. Like that he
Right.
reads everything and he support like it's I don't know how he has the time to do it and write his stuff, but yeah.
But all of these people do the same thing to a certain extent, where they amplify other voices, and I don't want to say that it doesn't happen in other genres, but I don't review those other genres, so I don't know. But I know horror. Holy cow. I mean, a rising tide lifts all boats. I hate to be a cliche,
Yeah.
but it's so true how much they champion other people's works. It's so, so uplifting to see in real time.
Yeah, and with Clay in particular, like you hit on a good point because I'll never forget this the first time that I interviewed him. I think that he knew that I was nervous, but he wouldn't let me interview him. He was interviewing me. And so like to like put me at ease and I finally had to be like, "We have to talk about your book. Like we have to stop and we have to talk about your book." And I think that that's just I think it speaks a little bit representatively of the community and certainly him. He's just an exemplary human being, but like the ability doesn't matter your station, your position, whoever you are, whether you're an author, a reviewer, a podcaster, like whatever. He's just like here to make sure that you have a good time and that and like that's so important and valuable in today's world. Like you can't define that. You can't put a price tag on that. It's truly invaluable.
But all of these authors, every single author, I haven't interviewed everyone that you just named, but I've interviewed most of them. But they all take you and they put you in a little cocoon
Yeah.
without you really knowing about it until it's over. They're like, it's going to be okay. There's bumpers here. I got you, and you're going to get what you want. And of course, it's mutually beneficial because we're amplifying their voice as well. but they do take care of us, which is pretty sweet.
Oh, 100%. And I think it's one of the strangest like relationships or like connections that you have, especially like because I didn't get a chance to meet any of these people until I went to Stoker this year for the first time. So it's like such a weird
About
thing
that, by the way.
to like meet people virtually, but like to feel like really connected and safe with them. And it's a very strange like social dynamic, but you
Isn't it
know,
weird?
here we are. Yeah,
It's so weird because you're
very
like, we haven't
strange.
met. I mean, we kind of met virtually, but is that a real thing? And then you meet them in person and you're like, are we hugging? Is this happening? So-
Yep.
but it's great. It's, and especially in today's, what we have going on today.
Yes.
It's
No,
so
you
neat to
need it.
connect to
You
people.
need it. Like whenever I left from Stoker, I was like, I was happy to come home, obviously, but like I was kind of sad. I was like, it's such a high of like getting to talk to these people and like just converse with them and like be with them and like spend time with them. And, like you at least for me, I don't live in a central area where I like have a lot of book events. Like I'm in Louisiana, so like they're kind of few and far between, and so it just makes like going back to the remoteness of it a little bit different. But I am so ever so thankful that we have the technology to do the interviews and the podcasting and everything that we do. But it is still like it just makes it really extra special whenever you do get to like actually be in person with these people.
It's almost electric. It really is.
Oh yeah.
I'll say two things about Stoker. I heard two things. I had such FOMO. I was going to go, and then I didn't go. I already bought my ticket and booked my hotel for next year. It's in Pittsburgh, so
Yeah.
it's only a short 8 hour drive away from me. But I can't wait to go. But I heard two things. I heard that people had to kind of like unplug and go to the room or like walk outside because it was so overwhelming. And I heard that everyone had Stoker deflate when they got home, where they
Oh yeah.
missed so much.
Oh yeah, the hangover is very real. But then like also the hotel I'm pretty certain was like haunted. Like that was a cursed location.
How about the
Um
pictures that Brian McCauley,
yeah.
the fucking horrible corridor? What was that
There's
about?
there's like so much lore to Stamford, Connecticut. Like everybody you talk to has a different story. It's just it's insane. But like not to mention the whole entire like my one of my favorite things to talk about was the atrium, like the lobby, had a glass covering over it. Like the ceiling and the walls and everything was glass.
Okay.
But like I don't know about I mean like down here the seagulls are not that big. They're tiny in Stamford, Connecticut, they're like massive. They're like dinosaurs. And it
Yeah,
was to the point where, it was in the summer. And so like you would be in the lobby, like trying to like hang out with people. And one, it was hot because the sun's beating down from the glass. But then two, you would have like this giant shadow pass over your head because the
that's
seagulls would be
pterodactyl.
flying. And that was like, I was like having a moment like, is this Jurassic Park? Like in the middle, like I like legit had a freak out about it. And then also they would like nest on the roof outside of your room and they would squawk and like they were loud. It was like some real shit. It was like I'm like there is something to this. In addition to the creepy basement, the liminal spaces. I mean, it was just like anybody you talk to has a story. I think I'm claiming the seagulls as mine, but everybody who was there has one. So,
Macaulay definitely claimed the liminal space. And because I was just interviewing him, he is honestly, to your point, you meet these people and you're just like, I don't know why, but I love you.
yeah.
You're a dynamite person. It's like it's almost instantaneous. They pop up on your screen and you're just like, yeah, I like you. It's yep, there you are. I meant to yell at him for the bullshit that he was doing in that hotel because I'm like, I enjoy your books immensely. If you get sucked
You
into a
can't get
void,
sucked.
and I don't get that anymore through your own stupidity, I'm going to be so angry at you.
It's so funny.
Reminded me to yell at him next time I talk to him. All right. Gonna wrap up shortly, but I want just a couple more questions. Who are you the most anxious and or nervous to interview?
Oh, I mean, it's kind of a rough question because I was very nervous. I'm not gonna lie, I was very nervous to interview Stephen Graham Jones. Like I very much like I'm not full disclosure. I took a shot of tequila before I interviewed him because I was like, I gotta get it together. Like I gotta lock in. And I think it's just like whenever you talk to somebody who's like as prolific as he is and like continuously so,
Yeah.
there's just like a lot of gravity to it. There are like a lot of people who have asked me like who is your like dream guest, and like honestly like a lot of people who are not in the horror community, like people in my personal life be like, oh, like when are you going to interview Stephen King? And I'm like, King's great and all, and like I'd be flattered if I never got the chance, but like honestly, and I know like she would never do it, but like I would love to talk to Tabitha. I would love to talk to her and be like, what was your life like, and like what was it like to
I
fish
mean,
out.
she would never do it. Ask. I guarantee she would do it.
I feel like she's very private, and I totally respect that. But if the opportunity ever came about that I could, that would be another one that I'd have to like really prepare for and see about calming my nerves before, because I just think that there's a lot of I feel like there's a lot that we probably don't know about like how much she has contributed to King's work, and I would just love to hear from her
Yeah.
what it's been like to be supportive. And because I mean she proofreads everything for him. She reads all of his drafts.
Yeah.
So I mean like there's no, like I just want to hear from her like what the hell has that been like, and like with her own creativity, because she's written books, like she's got her own stuff. So I just would love to pick her brain about that. And that would be one that I would like really really lose it over, I
That's
think.
pretty great. That is pretty
Yeah.
great. Yeah, there's one person who knows grandma's meatball recipe, and it's her, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pick her brain. I love that. Great answer. All right, great answer. Okay. Um, I want to know, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but I am heavily invested in your future and your success. All right. Seriously, seriously. What are the plans? 2025 was a banner year for you.
Yeah.
I mean, because honestly, and I listen to every episode, and this has just been a stellar year, and that's all on you. You have just knocked it out of the park. I want you to capitalize and continue. Listen to me, because I'm your manager and you need to listen to me. It just seems like there's this incredible momentum
Yeah.
to Anna Rose Reads, and I want to know what the plan is for 2026, and I want to get excited about it. So, what's on the horizon?
Well, the big plan right now is to get through the end of the year.
Yeah,
And yeah,
live in
yeah, that's a good one.
2025.
The big benchmark is like personally, I get married in October, and so like that's like once we get through that, we're like, whew, and I'm gonna really like reevaluate and like figure out what will happen then. I mean, I know that I don't want to let it go. Like I'm gonna keep going. I mean, I wouldn't lie. Like, I don't want to lie and say like, oh, I've never been interested in writing. Like, yeah, of course, I would love to try and write fiction and see like where that went. I mean, I think everybody who does this does. So there's part of me that wants to do that, but like, I think that I really want to keep focusing on this, and I feel like my niche is really trying to help women get promoted, and and not to say like I'm not gonna talk to men. Like certainly I will talk to anybody and everybody that I can, but if I can just keep doing that, like that's what I want to do. And like honestly, like if I am able to go to more in-person events, I would love to like moderate something in the future. Like if that could happen, that would be really cool.
Has
Um,
someone reached out to you?
not, I don't think so. No,
Oh, well,
not really.
that's going in the friggin' article, and we're going to see if we can change that. Are you kidding me? Oh, now I'm mad at everybody except you. I'm mad at everybody. You are a phenomenal moderator and would be.
Yeah, I think the thing of it is though is like a lot of it has to do with like your location, right? And so I think honestly, and I've been starting to think about it. I'm in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and we have a couple like little indie bookstores, and then there's one in particular that they we kind of know each other, and they just like expanded, and they really do like they do a great job of like putting horror on their shelves. Like they had Christy DeMeester's like one
Nice.
of her first books on their shelves. They've got indie stuff on their shelf. Like they know what they're doing. And I'm thinking about trying to approach them being like, hey, do we want to do like a horror book club like once every, like other month? Like I want to get more involved locally if
Okay.
I can, or even in New Orleans if I can. Like I'll drive. It's fine. To
How
just
far
like
is that?
it's only like an hour, like 45 minutes on a good day.
Okay.
Um
Okay.
so like I really would love to get something going here, like kind of grassroots something really local that we can like build a community here because, I mean, Louisiana's an interesting state.
It's
Like
haunted as
for
hell.
yeah, and like I that's the thing is like you would think like the horror cat like, it would be booming here. And I don't know that we've just had or at least I've not found it anyway. So I'm gonna put it that way. Maybe it's out there and I just haven't found it. But yeah, a big deal for me would be, getting involved more locally and like growing an actual like physical community here of readers and stuff like that. But of course, like still running with the podcast, still reading and reviewing whenever I can. Yeah, and like I said, I'd love to like be able to do like panels, like moderate panels, or like moderate even like book events or something like that. I would love to be conversation partner, things like that. But that's the interim goal. Like I said, we got to get to the wedding, and then after that, we'll really sit down and
Let's
think about it.
get married first and go on your honeymoon and have some fun. Yeah, all this stuff is nothing's going anywhere. All this stuff is waiting for you. I get so excited. Just like I said, I'm Methuselah and I'm so old. So I look at the youth, the youth of today, and I'm like, please carry on. There's so much great things for you to do. I understand that the location is a little, maybe that's a little bit of an obstacle just because of being able to get around, but you can do so many things virtually. So anyway,
Absolutely.
my point being is that I'm absolutely going to put in the article that you would be an insanely good moderator. And
Appreciate
shame on
that.
everybody for not reaching out already. Oh, I'm going to yell at so many people. Okay, I'll let you go.
I get it though. Like I mean, like let's look at the optics though. We've got like a panel of, really experienced authors, and then there's little baby faced me who just follows. Like I get it. Don't get me wrong. I get it.
Anna, forgive me. Who gives a shit? I don't care about that. You know what you're doing. You honestly, you know what you're doing, and you do it well, and that's all that matters. It really, age is a number. You just know what you're doing, and you would add to it. I think that's the point I'm trying to make, is that you would actually add to it. So yeah. Anyway, like I said, I'm going to yell at someone.
Appreciate it.
All right. Two things, and then I'll let you go. I want to know what I know you've read some incredible things in 2025, as have I. What's your favorite so far?
Ooh,
Or you know what? I'll take the sting out of it. You don't have to say your favorite, but what would you like readers to that may not be aware of to put their eyes on?
okay. There's three that come to mind. Rachel Harrison's Play Nice has
Oh,
been, you
ins
know,
come on.
insanely wonderful. I mean, and I think that, it's just I think it's something that everybody needs to read because it's not an easy read in terms of her character. Like you have to, it's a book that makes you work and think, and that I
Yeah,
love that. I love that so much.
but the
And then
subtle
on top,
scares to that were
yeah.
jaw.
Well, that not only that, but like the complexity of characters and like having to confront like you don't necessarily have to be in love with the main character for them to be redeemable and worthy of like not dying. So the conversation that she's managed to like not only the book itself, but everything that she's done in addition to that to foster this conversation about how we treat women is like so phenomenal. So that's always like my knee jerk answer for anything for this year. But I also read two other books that I think are kind of flying under the radar ish. Catherine Dang wrote What Hunger, and it's horror tinged. It's probably a little bit more contemporary fiction, but
Okay.
it is one of my favorite things that I've read all year. I mean, I could not put it down. It is if you're into cannibalism and coming of age, then you got to read it.
Boy, am I.
Yeah. And then the other one is Christy DeMeester has a book that's coming out in December. But I only just like discovered her this year and I read her previous book, Such a Pretty Smile. Her new book is brilliant, but I really fell in love with her first book, Such a Pretty Smile. The new one is called Dark Sisters. Her stuff is just phenomenal. And I feel like she's not getting whatever around those books. So I like really want to push those and promote those. And in fact, I'm about to start ramping up like my coverage of those because we're coming up on Pub Day, in December. But she's doing incredible work. She's a really just a cool human being too. Like to just talk to her was awesome. I just like really believe in and she's in Georgia, so there's like fellow Southerner. She gets it. I gotta shout her out. But yeah, those are the three that are like really doing the work for me this year. That like really, I think everybody needs to pick up.
love those suggestions. Okay, I'm a film person as well. Do you like horror films?
I do. I'm not the best at staying on top of going to see them, especially when they're in theaters, just because our schedule has been so insane this year. But normally, like I have like a movie pass. Normally we go very regularly. This
All
year
right.
has just been insane.
Give me one from growing up. Favorite horror film from growing up.
Okay, so actually I didn't come to horror until like even films until I was in college. So it took me a minute. Um, if I had to pick one like within the last like 5 years that I just kind of come back to every time, and like this is not a horror film, but I think it says a lot about the horror genre in like the terms of suspense is Rear Window by Alfred Hitchcock. That's like one that I fell in love with in high
My
school
favorite
and then
Hitchcock. My
yeah, and went a long way for me and like being a horror fan. But to, bring it a little bit more contemporary, I think Jordan Peele's Nope. Just like it's a movie I saw multiple times in theaters. It just sticks with me that it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous film and what he's saying. And like the other thing too is like I'm so freaking afraid of aliens. Like that is like my one button that you push and I'm done. And if you've seen the movie, you know that there's a scene in the barn where like I have never experienced like visceral terror like that. Like quite literally, like I thought all of my hair was standing up on end in the theater when I saw it for the first time. I've never been like that taken off guard and that scared by like a somewhat quiet movement. So yeah, no, that film just does like it does so much for me. Like I love it so much.
That was my favorite film that year. I went with my wife. We left the theater and I was like apoplectic because I was like, it says ode to Spielberg and it was Close Encounters, but it was also Jaws. And she was just like, do I have to put a stick in your mouth? I don't know what's happening. You need to calm down. But yeah, that movie was amazing. And then I took my youngest daughter and we went, they were showing it at Lincoln Center.
Hmm.
And I took her there and that was special too. It's such a great film.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up Jaws too, like Spielberg and Jaws. Like that was one though that I saw when I did see it when I was younger. My parents took me to Universal, I think like in 2007, and like I had no basis for like Jaws, Back to the Future, like none of that. And then we went, and you're like all of the rides are that. And so then as soon as we got home, my dad was like, I messed up. We didn't do this before, and we just like had a movie marathon of like the Back to the Future movies and Jaws. And I remember being so freaked out when the dead body in Jaws, like hinges down in the boat wreckage and you
Yeah.
just like have that one jump scare and that ruined me, but I loved it so I loved everything else about that movie so much. So,
The
I
thing
mean,
about horror, we get
yeah.
scared and then I don't know what's wrong with us, but we chase, you know, and there's nothing better. I've got a lot of friends who are movie fans, but I don't have as many friends as I'd like who are readers. And I
Yeah.
tell them all the time, I'm like, what you're talking about on film, when you're experiencing that in a book, it's more drawn out and richer and deeper. And then you kind of bring your own baggage to it. It happens too fast on the screen, but when you're reading it, it's a completely immersive experience. And they're like, who's got the time? And I'm like, we're not friends anymore. I don't even know why I'm hanging out with you people.
Yeah, no, you got to give them a copy of a Paul Tremblay's horror movie and see how
Like,
they feel about that because that's the closest medium that they'll get to
how
probably.
about how about the October film haunt?
Yeah, that too. I know. I feel like the best way I can think about that book is like if you reach your hand like in a fish tank, like there's layers, like you can put your hand in the water and then you can put your hand in the silt or the sand and then like you touch bottom. It's like there's so many layers to that book and the horror and the meta-contextual stuff that he's pulling off. It's just like it just keeps going and going and going.
I'm scared to talk to Michael tomorrow night because I feel like I was that person when I
Hmm.
was younger who, from New York, we had all these fantastic video stores. You had Kim's Video, and you would just, you would approach the clerk and you would have your movie and you'd put it on the counter and they go, no, this is what you want. And they'd put some like ratty copy of whatever and slide it over. And you were like, I don't know what my life is now, post this movie. And I know I'm just going to geek out. I'm nervous. I asked you who you were nervous about talking to. I'm nervous about talking to Michael. He's going to be like,
He's
you're
so
weird.
nice. No, he's so kind though. And like he's one of those people he just very genuinely like loves the genre. And so it's just like it's so easy to talk to him about it because you can tell like he loves it so much. And like as somebody we all love it too, easy common ground. But no, that book is trippy. That book is wild.
Oh, it may be my favorite of the year, but this is a testament to 2025. There's so many good novels are
Oh
not
my
out.
God.
Anna
Absolutely.
Dupree, you have been an absolute delight. Will you promise me you'll come back?
If you'll have me, you just gotta let me know when, and I'll be here.
I'll see you next Tuesday.
Perfect.
You are phenomenal, everybody. Anna Dupree, Anna Rose Reads. If you are not following it on Spotify and iTunes and Amazon Music and wherever you get your podcast fix, then shame on you. But it goes further than that. Look, I hate to bring this up, but I'm going to because it is just the nature of the beast. Would you please leave Anna a 5-star review? The reason being is because the robots in charge have an algorithm. And when they see that 5-star review, they open the floodgates, and then that podcast gets displayed to people who would not necessarily have access to it. That is why we ask for 5-star reviews. So, Anna, I'll do it on your behalf. Please leave a 5-star review. And then if you can write a review, write something nice and maybe a little bit funny, but mostly nice. How about that?
No, I appreciate that very much. It's very true right now about opening the floodgates and getting visibility. But no, I appreciate that immensely. And
Look,
thank you for having me on and like asking very fun questions. And you thought that you put me on the spot, but you really didn't.
all
So no
right.
stress there.
Well, it's Irish Catholic guilt. I feel guilty about everything.
Oh, I have the French Catholic guilt, so I
There you
totally get
go.
it.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, those nuns. Oh. All right. Look, congratulations on your wedding. Post tons and tons of pictures or don't. That's your personal life. But it would be great if you did.
Oh no, part of my struggle right now is planning like what I'm gonna bring to read while we go on the honeymoon. And that's like, I will 100% be taking pictures of what I'm reading while I'm there. So,
I can edit this out if you don't want it known, but where are you going on your honeymoon?
oh, we're going to like a sandals resort. So we're
You're gonna
not,
be on the beach
look,
reading.
I was about to say I'm gonna sleep, I'm gonna drink, I'm gonna eat, and I'm gonna read, and that's gonna be like about it. I'm just gonna veg out on the beach is the hope. So,
I want you to have the best time ever. Everybody listening right now wants you to have the best time ever. We're sending all the best vibes for you on your wedding day. Oh my goodness gracious. Are you kidding me? This is so exciting.
I appreciate it so much. Yeah, everybody's been very excited. I'm like, yeah, I don't. It's happening. I don't.
Like, I already
When
saw the
you've been
pictures.
planning, when you've been planning this long, it's like yes, but everybody's like so excited. It's so sweet. It's so endearing.
I know you already had a good bachelorette party, so I'm not even gonna ask you about it.
That's very true. I did.
But look, you are welcome back anytime. Look, I'm not going to be a pest, but I'm certainly going to reach back out in the new year. Have you back on. We'll talk about some books. Maybe we'll do best of 2025 and talk about your five, my five, something like that.
Yep, absolutely. You name the date and the time, and I will make it happen.
Oh, I would love that. Anna, you are an absolute delight. Go enjoy your night, and yeah, everybody take a look right below. There's Anna's links to her Instagram and to Spotify and iTunes, and please support Anna Rose Reads. It is one of, if not the best horror literature podcast out there, and that's so hurtful because I have one. And have a great night.
Thank you so much.
Take care.